Disclaimer. This episode contains graphic descriptions of violence that may be disturbing to some listeners. Please be advised.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
I'm Taylor.
I'm Mandy.
I'm Amanda.
And this is Pop, Crime, and Wine.
Welcome.
Welcome, friends.
Friends. And friends yet to be.
We have a very special episode for you today. The sponsor, what?
Oh, I was like, are they not all special episodes?
I mean, they're all special, but this one's real special to me because
Extra.
my father is sponsoring it.
Oh, hey.
Mike Dukes.
So he sent us a really beautiful bottle of Carnivore wine.
Yes.
It
I've
is
never had this. You guys
Cabernet
like it.
Sauvignon.
I love it.
It is 2015 too, which
Good
makes
year.
it extra delicious. It's one of the oldest wines we've had thus far.
This was 3 years ago.
They say it's a unique combination, full-bodied flavors with finesse. Rich blend shows hints of blackberry, caramel. Do you say caramel or caramel?
Caramel. Don't come at me with that shit.
Caramel.
I feel like I do both. I say like caramel. Like I don't do like
Caramel.
Perfect explanation.
Like-
I do like caramel.
or caramel.
No.
That's what I used to say.
Caramel.
I would say caramel.
Well,
'Cause
that
I
is
used to
how
say-
it's spelled.
I used to say caramel, and people used to yell at me, and so now I say caramel.
You should say caramel.
But I don't know.
I think it's actually supposed to be caramel.
Yeah,
Because
I'm-
that's how it's spelled. It's Caramel. It's
Don't
almost
bring
like
spelling into the English
Listen,
language.
Cara.
It does not
I
matter.
agree with you. I say caramel because maybe I'm lazy
but we forget the A.
and it's easy. We're like caramel instead of
Caramel.
caramel.
So
I'm not sure.
This might be the one word that I actually say correctly.
Could be. Maybe we should
Shut up,
Google it
Amanda.
later.
Shut up, Candace.
Shut up, Candace.
Why is that a thing?
But it
Because
also-
somebody had that was an Instagram name or something.
Well, someone follows me and it's Shut Up, Candace. And she liked something that I did the other day. And I just looked up and I'm like, Mandy, I have someone who follows me named Shut Up, Candace. And we just started laughing.
and now it's a thing.
That's a thing.
Hopefully she's listening right now.
Shout out.
Shout out. Shut up,
seriously.
Candace.
Shut up, Candace.
Yeah,
All right.
so I think it's time to open this thing.
Thanks, Mike, for the wine
Thanks, Papa Duke.
Thanks, Stan.
and helping our wino habits.
And our crime this week goes exactly with this bottle of wine. so-
Carnivore. I'm excited. Oh, God. Come on. Oh, God, the weird noise at the end that you made. I feel uncomfortable now.
Matt.
She was so concentrated, and then the relief after. It's really
You put a lot of work into that.
That was
You got some glory out
really
of it.
something to
It's all
see.
good.
be a part of.
Oh, man.
Chuck. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so what are we talking about today?
This week, Amanda and I are going to talk about the oldest people in America and kind of how they've lived their lives and
Ooh, I didn't just do America.
no, oldest life, or what did I say?
You just said oldest people
Oldest
in
people
America.
in the world.
There you go.
This is worldwide.
Yeah.
This is on the earth.
We don't exclude anyone.
No, because honestly, I found actually most of the oldest people to have lived were either from Japan or Italy, so they're doing something right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cheese and wine.
Cheese, wine, and pasta.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm like?
I'm gonna live
real
forever.
long.
I'm gonna live forever. Like, these are some of my favorite things.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Okay, first I want to talk about Ms. Emma Martina Luiga Morano. She's obviously from Italy, from Vercelli, Italy. She was born
Isn't that a kind of pasta? Or
Vercelli.
is vermicelli?
Oh, I thought she was from Verbania, Italy.
That she was raised there. Or or she moved to Vercelli later.
Gotcha.
Born and raised in
All of the V's.
yeah, whatever.
In Italy.
She was born 117 years ago on November 29th, 1899. So Guinness World Records confirmed she is believed to be the last living person who was born in the 19th century. Unfortunately, she passed away in 2017. She lived in her flat and received 24-hour care. She was raised in Vercelli. That's the one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oldest of 8 siblings, she later moved to Verbania on the shores of Lake Maggiore, Italy, where she remained for the majority of her life. She followed the same extraordinary diet for around 90 years, which consisted of 3 eggs per day, 2 raw, 1 cooked. And I don't know really how do you eat raw eggs?
Like you chug it in
I
a
guess
glass?
yeah.
Maybe
Because
she put
it's,
it in her
liquid.
like morning coffee or something.
Ew.
Either way, she's eating raw eggs. It's not delicious.
that's true.
I
It
know,
sounds
but somehow putting it
disgusting.
in coffee makes it worse.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because then you're ruining 2 things.
Oh, okay.
She
Might sweeten
ate
it.
fresh Italian pasta and a dish of raw meat.
Oh.
Dude,
I also
mean,
found
she-
that she ate a lot of biscuits.
that was later on. So that
Oh.
was like for 90-ish years. It's okay.
Sorry.
No, it was later on
I
she
just
changed
love
her diet
biscuits.
when later
Sweet.
like when she started getting full.
She ate the same thing every day?
She ate basically the same things every single day.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
How boring.
She was engaged to a man who was called to the front line during the First World War, and then she never saw him again and assumed that he died, which made me really sad for some reason, because then also right after that she married an asshole in 1926, and she gave birth to a child who ended up dying at 6 months old. Her husband was abusive and blackmailed her into marriage, threatening to kill her. After the loss of her son in 1938, she bravely left her husband and never remarried. And her story has actually been the inspiration of a musical show performed in her hometown of Verbania, which I think is badass. I want
A musical made about
musical. Yeah, I know, but my life is just not that exciting.
That's not true. We say it every day. Like, our lives
should have a TV show
should
or
be
something.
a TV show. Yeah.
But I think we're made for like Oxygen Network / MTV.
What are you trying to say?
I don't know. I think we're pretty and I think we're funny, so we could be anywhere.
Exactly.
Dominate this. Boss babes.
Lady power.
I'm dressed in all black with black hair, so I'm the not optimistic one. So anyway, she hasn't left her apartment, her flat, in 20 years.
Oh, see that
But like
seems
on
sad
purpose
to me.
She's like, I just like to go to bed early, and I like to do whatever I want whenever I want.
Did she have visitors?
I think she had family for a time, but
Like, I
then
wonder-
her family started passing away. I mean, her children. No, never mind. I'm sorry.
So, how old was she when she
she
died?
had siblings. She was 117.
Holy moly.
Yeah. So she had siblings, but I think they ended up all passing away.
I feel like you need human touch and like
She had a caregiver.
yeah,
So
that's true.
she had somebody there 24 hours a day. So somebody that like slept there and then
And you know, like good for her for like living that long, but also I would want to be surrounded by people. So it'd be really difficult. All of her friends probably died in front of her eyes. You know, like
yeah. I mean, my grandma, shout out to Ellen. She's 92, and not to like make light of it, but I mean, we joke about her stories starting when she's like talking about really anything, and she's like, "Oh, well, my friend, Susie, well, she's dead now."
it's
like everybody
Everybody is dead now, and so that's how it goes. But I guess
you got to be an optimist.
yeah,
and be like, oh
just
wow,
make new friends.
Yeah,
It's like that movie Age of Adelaide.
Oh,
with,
yes, with Blake
Blake
Lively. I
yeah,
love
like
that.
how she just has to she can't get close to anyone
No.
because they're all gonna die, or
just keeps
she,
moving and stuff.
And I mean, they would know that she didn't age, kind of a thing.
That was a great movie.
Yeah,
That's like in the realm of Benjamin Button, like
Oh, yeah.
oh,
Curiosity.
Benjamin Button is
Yeah.
so good.
Such
I haven't
an
seen that in
interesting-
so long.
me either.
Well, it's like a 3.5-hour movie, so you like need to dedicate your day to it.
Yeah, But
Need
you could
bathroom
watch
breaks.
You could watch it. I would watch that once a day and be good.
Once a day?
I'm just kidding.
What are you doing with your life?
All right.
All right.
What's next?
So that was Emma.
I don't know. I don't remember you saying this, but the reason that she started that diet was because in World War I, her doctor told her that she was anemic.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why she started doing eggs every day.
That makes sense.
So that wasn't her diet when she was younger, when she was like growing up.
I'm sure that she started at like she still ate stuff, but she
didn't eat food before this point in time.
Before she that's why she was anemic. She didn't eat food.
Because she didn't eat anything. I was actually anemic for most of my young adulthood.
Same.
And I couldn't give blood because of that, but then also I don't even think that I'm anemic anymore.
But
I don't really like needles. I have tattoos all over the place, but like bring a syringe into my general vicinity, I will just cry a little. One tear. Okay.
Who's next?
So, well, you have some advice, right? And I'm sure that we found similar things.
I just found like a list of old people and what they credit to their long life.
Okay.
So I'm just going to kind of skim over them. So Alita Victoria Gruba Rudge.
Beautiful name. Beautiful. Rolls off the tongue.
She lived to be 113 years old and credited her long life to keeping her mind sharp. She played cards and other brain teasers regularly to keep on her toes.
That's smart.
Susanna
Yes.
Mushhat Jones.
Yes.
Mushhat?
Or Mooshat or something. But I want to be best friends with this lady.
This is why.
She's she lived to be 116. She was known as a bacon aficionado, and she attributes her long life to staying single.
Yeah, like bacon and singleness.
She said that when she was younger, she never smoked or did alcohol. She's never worn makeup or dyed her hair, and she eats a lot of bacon.
Followed by eggs.
Are most of these long lifers women?
Yes. What I found were
most of them.
What I found was that like women
live longer.
Just in general live longer. And then another like fun fact about Susanna that I really liked was, and this is another reason why I want to be best friends with her, is she loved to indulge in lace lingerie from Bloomingdale's and startled her doctors from time to time while wearing it during appointments.
That's the kind of life I want to live. I want to startle people with my lingerie. I don't want them to just be excited. I want you to be startled.
Show up in it. It's like, what? You're there for like a normal
breast exam.
checkup. Yeah. It's like, oh, hey, doctor.
Like, let me unhook this really quick.
Can you do it for me? Oh my God.
A lot of winks in there.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Dorothy Park was another one that said her doctor claimed drinking helped her reach her 100th birthday. She said, I put my health down to whiskey and cigarettes.
Oh, gosh.
And she was also one that stayed single.
That's actually crazy that someone who smoked cigarettes lived that long.
Well, I found one, Jeannie Calment, smoked and drank and lived to be 122.
What?
Yeah, she was 122 and 164 days old, and she is the longest confirmed human lifespan on record.
I think I wrote that down early on.
And she described her longevity and relatively youthful appearance to a diet rich in olive oil, which she also used on her skin. She drank port wine every day and ate nearly 1 kilogram of chocolate every week. She smoked cigarettes from the age of 21 to 117.
Again, with the cigarettes.
Yep.
So I guess some people just,
their lungs
have a
are made
thing.
for it.
But do you
they
know
don't
how
smoke
port wine
them, right?
is made?
Yeah, with brandy.
Yeah, but like how long it takes? It's hundreds of you could be drinking. I just learned this from my friend Dale. It takes hundreds of years. You could be drinking from a bottle that literally has like 500-year-old wine.
Oh yeah, because you mix it all together.
They take the top 10%. They just take 10% out of every year, and they just keep putting it down like in it. Anyway, that's a totally different subject. Port wine is amazing. It's my new favorite thing.
Interesting.
It's expensive as shit.
Oh, so she was probably moneybags over there.
Well,
Drinking it every day.
Money back.
She did take up fencing at age 85. So I feel like if you are rich,
Damn.
you do fencing, you know? And she rode her bike until she turned 100. She lived on her own until she was 110.
Good for her. Good job, Jeannie.
But then she caught her house on fire and they moved her to a nursing home.
Well, it happens. Mary Frances Karuba said that laziness was the key to her long life. She said she turned 100 last year, and she said, I was always a lazy bird, and that's the secret to living longer. So, I mean,
I love people who reference to themselves as birds.
like
Like old bird.
old bird.
I'm an old bird.
I call people a strange bird.
Strange bird is
Yeah,
good.
I say
Lazy
that a
bird
lot.
is
I
a
say
new
strange
one.
duckling,
and
for
I
some
like
reason.
it.
Or an odd duckling.
An
is
odd
what I
duck.
say.
Yeah.
Probably from like the ugly duckling. You just changed to odd.
I think I've heard odd duck before.
Odd duck before.
Or black sheep.
Oh, yeah.
Baba.
Or I'm
Black
just
sheep.
like, that person's weird.
Just keep it real simple.
I do have a guy that I found, Emiliano Mercado del Toro.
Is he Italian?
I don't know.
It sounds like it.
Seriously, it was like either from Italy or Japan. It was like starkly that way.
That's crazy.
The picture that they have of him, I can't really tell what.
Oh, yeah, no idea.
But
all.
he was, he lived in the U.S. and he was a military vet. I think that at the time, whenever he joined the military, maybe you had to be born in America or something.
Well, what time period was this? Because he probably immigrated over here.
Maybe. Or his parents did.
Because Emiliano?
Emiliano
it's
Mercado del
Italian.
Toro.
Del Toro for sure. He's Italian.
So he said that his secret to a long, healthy life was his sense of humor, love of women, and funchi. I probably said that totally wrong, but it's a Puerto Rican dish made with cornmeal and codfish.
Maybe it's funky. I really want to be
maybe.
right.
I don't know.
Throwing this out there,
I'm
but
like, I don't know.
I just
hope
really
that
want to
that's
be right.
Someone tell us.
No, we're gonna Google this right after.
So, but he never married either. So maybe we're
Yeah,
all
there's
screwed
something
because
to
we're
it.
married.
This is not good.
Yeah, but it's like be lonely forever until you're in your hundreds, or live a shorter life with somebody
That's
that
what
you
I'm.
love.
Yeah, I'd probably rather just die a little earlier,
A little less
and
lonely.
have some love.
Agnes Fenton, she was 112 and she downed 3 beers with Scotch Chasers for the last 70 years of her life.
Amen.
So,
What kind of beer?
Miller High Life.
Oh gosh,
Nice.
This is my dad's episode. That is his beer.
Yeah, that's his beer.
That's hilarious.
Even
Perfect.
though I can't drink it because I don't know, I'm like allergic to it or something. But it's from Wisconsin, so gotta rep
Miller High
for
Life.
the home team.
And then did you talk about Elizabeth Sullivan? Mm-mm. She's one that I knew of ahead of time because she and I have a love for the same soft drink. She lived to be 106 years old, and she attributed her
Dr.
longevity to the Dr. Pepper.
Yes! I didn't even know that.
She fell in love with Dr. Pepper in the 60s and drank 3 cans a day until she died.
Oh my gosh.
She said, people try to give me coffee for breakfast. Well, I'd rather have a Dr. Pepper. Every doctor that sees me says, they'll kill you, but they die and I don't. So there must be a mistake somewhere.
Sassy bitch.
Oh gosh.
You died first, so I'm right.
And then,
I do love Dr. Pepper. I just can't drink it anymore.
Oh, I love it. I don't drink it very often, but when I splurge on a Dr.
funny.
Pepper.
Is
I
it my
seriously didn't
favorite?
know
I
that.
feel like Dr. Pepper just is too sweet.
You like Diet Coke, don't you?
No. Oh no. I hate aspartame in any form. But I would rather have like
Aspartame?
vanilla Coke.
Okay, can you just shut the fuck up about it?
Aspartame? Yeah. Mandy.
I hate you both right now. Don't look at me.
Just anyone who hasn't heard a previous episode where Mandy said
no, don't tell 'em.
aspartame.
I just want
instead of
them to believe
aspartame.
you guys said it wrong.
But I enjoy vanilla Coke.
oh yeah, I did love that.
Or
Dr.
orange
Pep-
soda.
Orange soda for sure for
Orange
you.
soda.
Orange soda.
I can only
I love orange soda.
You want a Fanta?
I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to drink a soda from a doctor. He has a doctor's degree. I mean, it's not
Amanda.
a Mr. Pibb. He's a Dr. Pepper. I'm just going to argue
Whatever
it all
happened
day.
to Mr. Pibb? I think
It's still around, but
around.
it's not as good because he didn't go to school to become a doctor.
Hey, some of us didn't go to college and we turned out just fine.
Neither did I.
Me. Oh, really?
Well, I didn't finish college.
No, you went to school.
I didn't finish it.
You have a degree.
No, I don't.
Do you have a hair?
You're welcome,
a
Mom.
hair degree.
Yeah, I spent $20,000 to get a certificate for
That's
hair.
way more than what I've done.
Yeah, but I'm like
I spent
didn't-
$1,200.
Spelled.
I spent $1,200 to go to college for 3 weeks and then drop out and move to Nashville.
Yeah, I went in debt for college too for the 3 semesters I went. I'm literally like 4 classes away from a degree. That's why my mom's so angry.
Gosh.
Anyway, I found 2 more that I'm gonna say. Clara Meadmore died a virgin at 108 and said men were too much hassle.
I mean,
That's hilarious.
She could have went with women.
She said that the reason why she died or that she lived so long is because she abstained.
See, but like quality of life over quantity of years.
I mean, men
Gotta
are
have the
a
sexy
hassle.
time.
Women are a hassle too.
No, I
Everybody's
understand,
a
but like if
hassle.
she didn't want the peen, there's other options.
That's true.
It's just sad.
And then the last one that I have is Batuli La McCain. I'm gonna assume that that's how you say her name. She smoked from the time that she was 17 to 95 years old, and she is 113 years old, and she claims that cigarettes have kept her alive. I have been smoking for over 95 years. There is nothing wrong with smoking. And she said that people of this modern age have too much stress, and those who do not work or are idle in their old age won't live long. So you have to be active and stress-free.
Beautiful.
That's good. That's
My grandma always says, like, you're only as old as you say that you are, or as old as you act like you
Right.
are. And I feel like all of these people, like, joked
Definitely
about
do.
why they've lived this
Yeah.
long. So
they all
maybe,
seem to have like good senses of humor.
yeah, like,
You
oh,
have to when all your
Great
friends are dying.
taste in, like things like
Soda.
wine and cheese and soda and all
Well, I
the
think it
things
also-
that make you happy.
It's definitely a like do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
You know, I literally have a tattoo that says "Eat the cake,"
Eat the cake.
and that's a life motto.
eat
for
the
anything.
cake, live 100 years.
Yeah. It's time for crime.
True crime. Sing it, scream it. There it is.
Beautiful. That was really beautiful. You
Thank
did a
you.
great job.
Off the cuff.
So this week, Michael Dukes, my father, gave us this Carnivore wine, and I thought it would be perfect to do a cannibal episode. And this isn't like full on cannibal episode.
Can you be half cannibal?
You can apparently. You'll understand more once I
Okay.
get into the actual story of it.
Ooh, can I like guess as to how you could be not full
Yeah.
cannibal?
Let's guess.
That you feed people to other people instead of eating it yourself.
But then you wouldn't be a cannibal because you're not actually eating it.
But it would be a
it's
cannibal episode. But
cannibalistic.
that's not what it is.
Okay.
But
like-
that's a good.
As soon as you eat
Guess.
another human being, that makes you a cannibal.
Yeah, but what if it's like I'm not gonna get into it. We're
it
gonna
could
get
be
into
like you're feeding other people humans, so they unknowingly are cannibals.
could be.
That happened in like Ohio or something.
Yeah, there's all kinds
Oh,
of
that crazy guy
episodes.
that was-
is the
like,
dog food one?
No, it was real like hot dogs or like burgers or something. He was selling them out of his like
yeah,
his
it was
food
barbecue.
stand.
You could find like
Yeah,
hair on
barbecue.
his grill.
No.
Yeah.
We should do that episode.
We should,
I'm not
'cause
going to
that
tell
one's
people
really
what his name is.
gross.
because I
Oh,
wanna say
that's
it.
pretty gross.
Okay.
So
we
this
don't
one
really understand what you're
you
saying.
don't know yet, and
Okay.
but you will. You'll understand once I guess you will.
Okay.
It's just not a full on like this person eats people all the time and it has, body parts in his fridge or something. Like it's not like that. It's not a Dahmer
Okay.
type thing. Okay. So, I'm going to tell you the story of the Greyhound bus murder. Have you heard this?
I don't think so.
probably not good that I'm hungry while we're doing this
I'm
episode.
very hungry, so you're not alone at least.
Perfect.
Okay, so to set the scene, it is July 30th, 2008. We're in Canada, okay? Portage la Prairie, Manitoba, Canada. And 22-year-old Tim McLean, or McLean, Tim McLean, I think
How do you
it's Tim
spell it?
McLean. It's McLean.
McLean.
But I
McLean.
think the podcast I was listening to said McLean.
That's what I would guess.
Okay, so I'm just going to keep saying that. Okay. So 22-year-old Tim McLean, he's a carnival worker. And he
Carnivore.
is headed back. Oh my
Carnivore
gosh.
Carnival.
So he's headed back from a show or a festival that he was working at in Alberta. And he's on this bus. It's bus 1170 to Winnipeg via the Yellowhead Highway for all of our Canadians out there. The journey was a 22-hour ride. It was 22 hours from the fair he was at to home. Naturally, Tim sat at the window seat and he had his headphones on most of the time. Was listening to music. And during the ride, with Greyhound buses, people will get off the bus and then people will get on the bus. And, so it's constantly a shift of who is on the bus.
Okay.
And they would stop for little breaks and have smoke breaks and go to the bathroom. And so during the ride, it was probably about an hour out from his actual destination, a man named Vince Lee got on the bus. Now, Vince Lee is a 40-year-old man. He's real tall. He's got a shaved head, and he's wearing sunglasses, even though it's nighttime. It's a little strange.
already weird.
It's already weird. But when he first gets in, he sits down in the front of the bus, and he makes eye contact with Tim McLean, and Tim smiles at him when you pass by someone on the street and
you kind of just
you just
give 'em
smile,
a little
yeah,
friendly
a little-
hello smile.
a nod, exactly, yeah. So the bus stopped for a smoke break and everyone went out and Tim had a cigarette with a bunch of people who were on the bus.
Does that happen a lot? Like the buses take breaks?
Yeah,
I think so, yeah. I think
I've never
they
taken a
I had
probably
a friend come from Wisconsin, took a Greyhound.
I think
and
they
stopped.
stop every couple hours
So that people
probably.
can go
But
Are
there is a
bathrooms?
bathroom. There
Okay.
is a bathroom on the bus.
But then
but they stop so you can stretch your legs
Yeah.
and you can take a smoke break and, get snacks or something.
Okay.
Snacks.
Snacks. But once they all get back on the bus, that's when Vince brought all of his stuff back and sat next to Tim.
Okay.
So
So it
according,
wasn't like an awkward.
it wasn't a
move
weird
when he was
they
this is a good
smiled.
time."
Yeah. They got off the bus and had that weird friendly exchange where he smiled at him and then he went back and sat next to him when they went back onto the bus. But according to witnesses, they were watching Zorro. You know how they all have television
Yeah.
screens on the bus?
I do love that movie.
They were watching Zorro and all of a sudden Lee takes out a Rambo style knife
Okay.
and just starts stabbing Tim in the neck and chest. And can you imagine just being in a bus at night
With somebody
and all of a sudden someone takes out a humongous machete style knife and starts stabbing someone randomly? There's no altercation, no provocation.
wow.
It's literally just out of nowhere.
And everyone saw him doing this.
And everyone sees him doing it and Tim starts screaming and he jumps over Lee and starts running away, trying to
Yeah.
get as far away from him as he possibly can. And Lee follows him and he's super calm. He's not it's almost like he's in a trance. His face is just
Oh, that's
calm and he's just stabbing him. And everyone else
It's freaking the fuck out.
is freaking out. And one of the passengers runs up and is telling the bus driver, he's like, you need to stop, pull over, someone's getting stabbed, and so the bus driver pulls over and everyone starts falling out of the bus.
Yeah.
They're running out of the bus. This is so scary. And yeah, people are screaming and Tim is screaming. And finally all of the riders are off the bus except for Tim and Lee. And pretty much when I think about it, if you're on the bus, fight or flight, that's the question.
Right.
Would you go up to some random dude that has a Rambo style knife and try and stop it? Or would you be running off the bus too? It's kind of like you wouldn't know unless you're actually in that
Yeah.
I would
think that's a survival
situation.
thing.
But
I'd
also,
run.
if I don't know, I feel like there are some people who might try and save him and then end up dead
Right.
themselves, which is
I think survival.
scary.
If it's the knife that I'm picturing in my mind, I would definitely run away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a
But then
Rambo
there's
style knife
guilt
is-
that comes with that afterwards. If that guy ends up dying and you were the guy who's sitting next to him who could have maybe
Done what though? You know.
I don't know.
How
I
do
don't
you
know. Yeah,
combat a
that's
Rambo style knife.
that's the scariest
Machete.
part. But there were 30 or 40 of them on the bus, and it's
I
only
would
one
be
knife.
terrified. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like if you're on a bus and some psycho just starts like stabbing someone for no reason at all, that would make me not want to like
Be on the bus.
Well, because you know,
Yes,
it's
get me off this bus.
it's like when moms like save their children underneath a car, like you have so much adrenaline that you could do
Yeah.
anything. I feel like if you have a psychotic break, like you don't know where he is in his mind.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
is he like so crazy that like nothing that you do will stop him? Because people have been shot like 10 times
Yeah.
and still attacked.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
true.
So that's where my mind goes. As much as I'm like, hey, dude, I would like to save you. I also
It's-
don't
yeah.
think I would feel guilty because some other maniac decided to do this.
Yeah.
It's survival mode. It's
Yeah.
not your
100%.
fault.
And I don't
Yeah.
think that you have that moment to really think. Like, your body
It
either
definitely is
decides,
flight
like,
first.
yeah.
Fight if you can't
Right.
run away.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Or if you have a
everyone is getting off the bus and like fleeing the scene, and there's a truck driver who's following the Greyhound who ends up stopping behind them, and he comes out and he's like, "What's going on?" And everyone's explaining. So he goes in and he grabs a bunch of crowbars that he has in his truck, and him, the bus driver, and then there was a passenger by the name of Garnet Caden.
Why didn't the...
I mean, people are calling the police.
Right, but why didn't he get off the bus when everybody else got off the bus?
Because he's okay. So at this point, he's in the back being stabbed. Like he's pinned up against
Okay.
the bathroom
Okay.
being stabbed.
Okay.
And
'Cause
so
I remember you saying that he like got up and
he
like
jumped
got away,
over him
but the
and
guy
went
back.
towards the back, and the guy followed him and pinned him up against the bathroom, and he's just stabbing him.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
So the truck driver, the bus driver, and this Garnet Caden passenger end up all three having crowbars, and they go in. As soon as they walk into the bus, they see him in the back severing his head.
Oh my god.
And he apparently looked up like a deranged animal. Like he just looked like a wild animal. And he walks up to them. He's like coming towards them, and he like drops the head in front of them. And so they like run out because they're like, okay, he's dead. There's nothing we can do right now to save him.
This person's crazy.
And so they like run around the back of the bus, and they put their crowbars in all of the, doors so he can't get out. Yeah. And the whole time, so they do say that he's like a deranged animal, but he's calm. He's a calm, deranged animal. So they lock him in with the crowbars. And by this time, the police have been called and they're on their way. But the killer picks up the head and starts taunting everyone who's outside of the bus. And he's like throwing it around and shaking it back and forth.
Oh, that's so creepy.
And the passenger who had helped Garnet Caden, describes sharing a cigarette at the last stop with Tim and like talking about how nice of a guy he seemed to be. And in the one podcast I listened to, they had his mother interviewed, Tim's mother, and she was talking about how she had like a card night or something that she was at where there were a bunch of people, and people brought up the fact that at that point in time there was someone who was killed on a Greyhound. Like someone was talking about it. It must have been on the news afterwards, and she was like, "Oh, that's so terrible. It's really terrible." And she'd been hearing about it all day, and goes home, and her husband is like, "That was Tim." And it was just like a emotional,
Yeah.
like, can you imagine like your child being the person you've heard? Because when you hear stories like that, you're like, oh, that's really awful.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for their family. And then once you find out that it's actually you,
I'd have a breakdown.
it
for
would be
sure.
awful. Oh, it'd be terrible.
especially in such a violent way. Not
Yeah.
just like a car accident,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, something really awful.
Yeah.
That gives me glossy eyes. Glassy eyes? Glossy eyes?
Both.
Glassy.
Glassy
All
and
the
glossy.
things. They're like a little blinking
You
it
all
away.
right?
Yeah.
Just sad. Like,
Yeah,
thinking
it's very
about
sad.
it. Yeah.
It's very sad. And so the passenger who was describing him ended up throwing up, and a bunch of people were just like, I can't handle this right now. So the rampage lasted for 5 hours, if you believe it. The cops showed up.
He was in the bus for 5 hours.
He was
with
in
a
the
dead
bus
body?
for 5 hours with a dead body. And he was taunting everyone, and he removed most of Tim's internal organs, and he pretty much ravaged his body. He cut off everything that he possibly could. And when they ended up getting him out, he was in the process of cutting off his foot. Oh yeah, he had thrown some of the body parts into the front of the window, of the bus's window, so everyone could see them. And he ate his eyes, his heart muscle,
God.
and random tissue. And when they did finally get him out of the bus, they found his nose, his tongue, and his ear in Lee's pocket. It was said that Lee was described to be smelling and licking Tim's fingers, and he paced the bus. And the only thing that anyone on that bus had ever heard him say the entire time he was on the bus or off the bus or during the exchange was, I have to stay on this bus forever. That's the only thing he said during the entire time he was on that Greyhound bus. After all this stuff is happening, he's pacing back and forth saying, I guess I have to stay on this bus forever. And so the police bring in special crisis negotiators and heavily armed tactical units.
Why crisis negotiators? I mean, the guy's already dead.
Well, the guy's already dead, so they're trying to, get him off the bus without the machete and make sure everyone's still alive when he gets out.
They do that anyway because they don't want...
I guess they don't want to kill him.
They don't want you to, they don't want the suspect to die. They want to be able to
to question him
yeah,
and
okay.
see and
because then you not
I just
that
thought
you're
about
ever,
hostage situations.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
where I went, and I was like, this dude's already dead.
not that you're ever gonna I feel like you're never gonna get the answer that you want to have, but at least getting some type of an
Yeah.
answer.
and the family deserves that.
Yeah.
Well,
Even
most
though
of those people kill themselves.
There's no real
Yeah.
answer.
no. Not for that.
So the report of the stabbing came in at 8:30 p.m. and it wasn't until 1:30 a.m. that they finally got him when he tried to escape through a window, and they tased him. So they ended up escorting the passengers to the police station so they could get statements from them, and they ended up putting them up for the night in hotels because all of their baggage was still on the bus, which was now a crime scene.
And a grisly one.
A really, really terrible one. One passenger describes regret not trying harder to save Tim. And yeah, that's pretty much what I was talking about earlier. I can't even imagine living with that afterwards. It
Survivor's
said
guilt.
there was one of the first responding officers ended up down the road killing himself.
Oh my God.
And the family said that it was from post-traumatic stress from that event.
Oh my gosh.
So, a little background on Vince Lee. He was born Vince Wagwang Lee. He was born in Dengdong, China on April 30th, 1968. In 1992, he graduated from Wuhan Institute of Technology with a bachelor's of science in computers, and he worked as a software engineer in Beijing. Later on, he immigrated to Canada. That was in 2001, and he ended up becoming a Canadian citizen in 2006. For some reason, he never quite picked up the language thing. So he pretty much went his whole stay in Canada not being able to truly talk with people.
I'm sorry. Did he go to prison?
I'll
you gonna
tell
get
you.
that?
I'll
Okay.
get
All
to
right.
that. So he
That's probably why he only said that one thing on the bus if he couldn't speak.
Yeah, he probably was
English
not
or
very
French.
good with the language. So he held jobs. He held many jobs. One was at a church, and he had a wife, and he got that job so he could support her. The pastor that worked there said that he did well, and he never showed any signs of anger issues or like anything going on that was out of the ordinary. He was also a forklift operator at one point, and his wife was a waitress. At the time of this event, he had been working a couple jobs, one at Walmart, a fast food restaurant, and a newspaper delivery place. He had been fired from Walmart 4 weeks before the killing, and people think that this could have been the trigger because he had some sort of
Psychotic
disagreement. He had a disagreement with a bunch of people that he worked with, and so they fired him. So he had asked for time off from his newspaper delivery for an interview that he had in Winnipeg, and that's why he was there. And on July 28th, he had boarded a bus to Winnipeg, but got off at Erickson, which is apparently some other Canadian city.
Did he actually have an interview in Winnipeg?
I'm not sure. That's what he had asked off for, but he never made it there. He got off the bus at Erickson, and he stayed on he stayed on a bench next to a grocery store that night. He was up all night. Witnesses say that he was sitting bolt upright with eyes wide open at 3 or 4 a.m. And the next morning, he sold his laptop to a 15-year-old boy, realizing he would no longer need it. So he had a handwritten sign that said $600 for a laptop, and the kid talked him down to $60.
That's some good
Which that kid is now the CEO of Microsoft. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah, right?
But, like, that's crazy.
Well, I mean,
$600. Why don't you just drop a zero and we'll call it even?
Yeah,
he wasn't really in his right mind, so I guess he
Exactly,
could have just
yeah.
said $5 and he would have been like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
So, after all this happened, Vince Lee pleaded not criminally responsible, which is pretty much saying not mentally stable, like he was out of his right mind.
Which I'm not going to like argue in his defense, but I feel like you can't be in your right mind to do like if he isn't someone that has done this for a lot, like it's not like something that is a normal activity for him to do, like some of the other people that we've talked about on the podcast. Like I feel like he like went
How do you
crazy.
get to that though?
I mean,
Like,
I also don't know how
how
you
do
have a
you-
psychotic break and
Now-
you decide that you're gonna like
eat somebody.
yeah, slash them for no
I
reason.
don't want to like say any specific names, but when I was in college, I had a roommate from China, and she had a psychotic break,
yeah.
and she ended up like trashing our room. She was the nicest, sweetest person ever. She trashed our room. She broke my guitar. She poured laundry detergent everywhere. Like it was just a very out of the blue.
Yeah.
And it could easily be maybe his upbringing. I don't want to make excuses for him, but
Right.
maybe he grew up in a very, strict, I don't know.
Well, and
I'm not
everyone's
sure.
culture is different. It's hard
Yeah.
to like know.
And the change probably wasn't
I can't imagine not
good.
being able
Like
to
a culture
speak to
shock.
anybody,
Yeah.
in the country that you're living in.
Yeah.
If you there's that big of a language barrier.
I also don't think that anyone like I feel like you have to be into like most of the time I'm like people just use that as an excuse, and I think that it's used a lot as an excuse as
Yeah.
that you are like, oh, I'm not like criminally sane or whatever.
Yeah,
right.
But like
But there are actually people who aren't in their
like,
right
I
mind
feel
when
like
they commit things.
Personally, I think that he probably really wasn't in his right mind. Especially if he sat up all night long, stick straight with his eyes wide open, and then he didn't speak to anyone, and then he just slashed a man for
Yeah.
no reason.
Yeah.
Like, that is not a normal
does-
thing that you do.
And it's
Why
not
do you
something
think
that is in his background either, which is
Yeah.
the strangest part for
That's
me.
what I'm saying. It's like, if you
out of
do
character.
Do you think he had the knife forever, or do you think that he got it somewhere like in Winnipeg or Erickson or whatever?
Maybe, I don't know.
Where he was, because like he doesn't.
It
sound
makes more
like
sense
the kind
that
of guy
maybe
that would
he-
carry that.
Maybe he ended up going to the interview and knew he didn't get it.
Right.
And it was like okay.
Like
It's like
I'm
an
done.
episode
Yeah.
of Snapped. Like this is to me as an episode of Snapped. Like this is not their their normal behavior, and they just went crazy.
Yeah.
The thing that weirds me out about it is people have psychotic breaks and like, start their boss's office on fire.
Yeah.
Or, kill themselves. Like it's just like on another level for someone to do that to another human.
Yeah, someone they don't even know.
There has to be something very, very wrong. And I just, it goes so far beyond a psychotic break for me.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe he, like, thought that he was in danger.
Well, I'll get into what he had said was the reason. But
people think, like, God is telling them to do things.
Yeah, hearing voices and shit.
Yeah.
He pleaded not criminally responsible. He was sent to Selkirk Mental Health Center for schizophrenia. And he did say that God had been telling him to kill him because he thought that Tim, the guy who was sleeping next to him with headphones on, was going to come at him and he was trying to kill him. And so he was defending himself. But God was telling him this.
Okay.
Within 1 year, Lee was granted unsupervised visits to the surrounding cities. And in 2017, he was discharged.
What?
He changed his name, and he's living independently.
Stop it.
Stop.
Where? So I can never go there.
I want to say it's Winnipeg. He's in Canada somewhere.
He's
Still
probably
in
like
Canada.
in the witness protection. Canada is also very big about like reforming and like making a better life out of things.
How do you come back from that?
There have been a lot of things that have happened in Canada
He ate
that
someone.
people come back from.
After chopping off their head.
Now I feel bad for thinking that he should have gotten like crazy. Like he should have gone to prison. That's what he should have gone.
Or just been in a permanent mental health facility, like one that he cannot hurt anybody or himself. Like you just can't come back from that. I'm sorry. I don't support that whatsoever.
Now, a couple of the passengers ended up having lawsuits against him for what they saw. Obviously,
Right.
It's
Yeah, it
detrimental
messes your whole life
to your
up.
mind.
That's PTSD.
Yep, and they ended up dropping them. But yeah, 2017, he changed his name. He's living independently somewhere in Canada.
I'm
Come
in
on.
shock.
Yeah.
That's actually the craziest part of the story is that he did that, and now he's just living his life somewhere, just
that.
being happy.
What do the kids say these days? I'm shook.
Shook. We're shook.
I'm so
no,
shook
wait,
right
we're
now.
V shook.
Oh,
V
yeah.
shook.
Hey, fam, we're V shook.
Oh, God.
V shook.
We're not the cool kids anymore.
No,
guys.
no, we're not.
Oh,
Damn, that was
man.
You're right. That was the worst part, is knowing that he's
He's out there, and he
Yeah.
could potentially be listening to this podcast, and he doesn't like the way I told his story, and so now he's coming to get me.
Don't say that.
I'm just
say that.
kidding, obviously.
Hopefully he still can't speak English.
I am so shocked right now.
Yeah.
Like, I can't get over it.
Canada, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
mean,
Canada.
I get it. I think it's nice that they're trying to, if someone made a mistake, but that big of a mistake can't be reformed. And even if it can, they should be in jail
Yep.
or
For
somewhere.
murder.
Yeah.
I don't like Canada
If he's reformed, does he...
because of all of the things that I've heard about, like the criminal things there. Sorry,
Really?
continue.
No, I'm sorry. I interrupted you. I don't even remember what I was saying.
I just there's another story about this girl who like literally killed her whole family, and now she went to college and Canada like paid for her to do that, and she's living out her life. She killed her whole family. Now,
Oh, wait. I know that story,
Yeah.
actually, with her boyfriend, right?
yeah, we could talk about that
Oh,
one.
That's
I've
a
heard
good
that
one.
story.
Yeah.
They have episodes on, I don't know if it was like Killer Kids or something.
But she was also like, what, 12? She was a child.
Yeah, but she was also like
Her boyfriend was like 18 or something.
There are
23.
Yeah, I just
there
remember
are
he
a
was
lot
older.
of American children who have also killed their parents and are out and about now.
I just can't.
That's
do
kind
that.
of a.
Yeah, but they paid for her to go to college and helped her like
Yeah,
change
that's
her
beyond.
life because like
That's
you need
pretty
to have
messed up.
like you need to reform, and they believe in like being better. I don't think that you can be better after you
No.
murder someone.
I think that's the line, like,
Well-
in humanity, is if you take someone else's life, you can't go back from that.
Now I agree, you can't
Unless
go
it's in
back, but
self-defense.
I
Yes.
do think as a child, your mind can mature and turn it. You're always changing.
Yeah.
That can happen because she had a 23-year-old boyfriend who was whispering in her ear, killing your family. Obviously, you
She
can't
just
go back
came
from
up
it.
with
When I was
idea.
12, I knew that, taking somebody else dying was a big deal. I
Yeah.
also went to a lot of funerals. I had a lot of deaths
Same.
in my life. Like, it was a big deal. So like I've seen dead bodies, like, you know, I've seen my friends and like, you know, so I don't think there was ever a time in my life that I was like, and I'm a hunter.
Well, it's never okay. It's never okay to kill your family, but I do think that if you kill your family at like age 7, at 23, maybe you don't even remember doing it. Who remembers what they did at age 7?
I think I would remember if I killed my family.
Obviously you would. I'm not saying you
like
wouldn't.
your brain is like an overdrive at that point.
I'm trying to be devil's advocate right now because
you are.
You know,
You're doing
it makes
a very good job.
it makes a more
but
interesting
I just
debate.
need our listeners to know that you don't actually feel that way.
I feel like there is reform, but I don't believe that this man should be walking amongst us.
Okay.
But I do
That's
think
fair.
people can be reformed, especially being reformed and being in prison. You can still be a good person and end up doing good in the world. I think that that's a thing.
Yeah, I think that there is reform. I think that there
Do
is.
I believe it's fair of him to be out now? No.
Especially he didn't even do any time for murdering this man.
Right, he
His
just went to a
poor
mental
family.
institution.
Yeah, they have to live with that forever.
Yeah. I don't even know what I would do. There's no I would, because I have no idea. I'd want to kill him.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, that's disturbing.
Man.
Thank you,
Way
TT.
to go, TT.
This is a good one.
Happy Tuesday.
Ruining lives.
And Mike Dukes with the carnivore wine.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, thanks, Dad.
Yeah, it is actually very delicious.
It's really good.
It is.
I
Very
would
smooth.
pair this with a nice pork chop.
Damn, I haven't had pork chops in forever. That sounds great. I'm so hungry.
That does sound good, actually.
I don't even eat pork chops,
Really?
but that's what came to my mind. I
My
was like,
mom
oh, this
maybe
sounds
always
like
pork
made-
chops with some maple glaze, like, and some
My
green
mom would make it with
potatoes.
cream of mushroom.
My mom would make it with sauerkraut and mashed potatoes.
That's very Wisconsin-y.
Yeah,
I think it's just normal.
it sounds
Well,
German.
sauerkraut
Actually.
is German,
Yeah.
and we have so much. I mean, I'm from Berlin,
Oh,
Wisconsin.
yeah. I'm from Florida, and that's where everyone's, like, they're from
All
everywhere.
German. Oh, well, yeah.
But we have a lot of German in our family, so maybe that's why. Cheers.
Pork chops.
I love
Cheers.
chops. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't even eat pork, but I love a good pork chop, especially with this
You don't
wine.
eat pork?
Try
Actually,
not to.
while I was in New Zealand, I had lamb for the first time.
Lamb's
and
good.
It was pretty good.
I like that.
Lamb chops.
My grandma used to make us ham for Easter because she would make lamb for everybody else, and us as kids were like, we can't eat lamb chop.
We can't eat a sheep.
Plus,
bring
he
you
was my
back.
favorite puppet.
Oh. Yes.
Oh, this
Lamb
is the
chop.
I used to
song
have
that
the little
never
thing.
ends.
I have a lamb chop
And
at
it goes
home right
on
now.
and on, my friends. Some people started singing and not knowing what it was. And we'll continue singing it forever just because this is a song that never...
Do you not
Okay.
know this?
I know it, but I'm not a singer. I've sang on this.
Oh, yeah, you did
podcast
promise
before,
Oh, you did say it. Okay.
And I should ever.
Well, we want to thank everyone for listening.
yeah.
This has been
Thanks.
episode 10. Crazy.
Crazy sauce.
Wow.
Um,
We're in the double digits now.
we-
Oh, I feel
We
so
are in the
old.
double digits, and we want to thank everyone who's listening because we have hit 1,000 listens, which
Whoop,
is
whoop.
super exciting.
Yeah.
We're famous.
Yes.
It's fine.
We're getting there.
Share with your friends.
Please share
And people you don't know.
Like us on Instagram at popcrime. Like us.
Pop, crime, and wine.
Like us on Instagram at popcrime and wine. We are also on Twitter at that same name.
Twit at us.
Oh, also, like we've said before, if you want to be a sponsor, just let us know. We do have a list of them, so we are trying to keep track of everyone. If you have sponsored us so far and you are not on an episode yet, be patient.
You're
gonna
coming.
get to
your
you.
Your day's coming.
And we want to let you know that the special surprise that we talked about 2 episodes back is still coming.
It's in the works.
It's in the works, and we will let you know as soon as we know.
Yes.
All right, friends.
We will
See you next Tuesday.
Tuesday.